Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Sherlock Gnomes. So I really wasn't a fan of Gnomeo and Juliet, and I was pretty surprised when, all these years later, a sequel came out to Gnomeo and Juliet. Did anybody love that film? Was anybody hankering for a sequel? And I think it was a moderate box office, at least success, but not a hit by any means. So this was a very curious decision, but here we are, and now we've added in the voice talents of Johnny Depp and Chiwetel Ejiofor to give kind of a mystery Sherlock Holmes style caper. But is it any fun? Well, not really. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives. The biggest positive to me personally was our voice cast. In particular, I think Emily Blunt was really good, and you could tell she was trying to bring heart and feeling to this little Juliet gnome. And I think personally, I could kind of envision her in a live action role, doing a really good job with the same material. So Emily Blunt was really game and really trying, as was James McAvoy. I thought he did a very nice job as well. Speaking on Chiwetel Ejiofor, I thought he was very good. Johnny Depp felt a little bit sleepwalky. You could kind of tell he rolled out of bed, came in his pajamas to record his voiceover work. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad by any means. It just wasn't Johnny Depp's top level. But really, I thought all of the voice cast worked well. I also think that there are moments of really good stuff here. There are little peaks, little sequences that just work very well. They're inventive, they're beautiful to look at. The trend in animation continues with busting out of the 3D animation style to do 2D, to do sock puppets, to do something else. And here, we saw that in the form of Sherlock Gnomes' thought process of him trying to scramble through and solve all these mysteries. We jump out into little bubbles, and then the full screen of 2D animation, black and white, very simple drawings, but I thought they were very inventive. It was a nice, fun, kind of cool way to show how crazy and unorthodox his thought process was that led him to figuring out the clues. But there was some world building here. We go into different types of gnome lands, and those were all fun to visit. Seeing the other type of inanimate objects come to life, getting gargoyles in this movie. There was some fun stuff in there. And I think the end message is a good one. It's an important one. Not to take people for granted. Not to put things and events and all this other hoopla above your loved ones. And I think that is a nice and actually sophisticated message for children from a film like this. So kudos on your messaging as well. However, that's kind of where my positives end, and we jump into the negatives. And we're going to start with the humor. I think there were maybe 2 jokes that I chuckled at a little bit, that I thought were a little bit amusing. One of which is about nepotism, which was the only adult-style joke that landed for me. I thought it was really fun. And then there might have been 1 or 2 other small chuckles. But overall, I mean, this is very rudimentary. Thankfully, they cut out a few of the jokes from the trailers about, farting to make a jacuzzi and stuff. Thankfully, those don't actually make the cut in the film. But what we're given doesn't really elicit all that many laughs. And even the kids in my theater didn't seem to be laughing throughout the film. They weren't laughing a whole lot. And when they did, they were at the very, rudimentary, look at the mankini one. Look, we have a gnome sitting on a toilet. And it's just oh, okay, that's definitely not for me. But I guess I got them to chuckle. But even they only laughed a few times. So even with all those gnome puns, you couldn't create that funny of a film. And as a mystery, it does an okay job of trying to emulate a good Sherlock Holmes mystery. However, it doesn't lay the clues. It should have watched some Blue's Clues and learned how to lay down these clues that kids can have fun solving with you. Instead, this is all stuff we never would have known. There's no way we could know because it's all like Sherlock Gnomes past. And it was like, oh, okay, well, there's not really a mystery to solve here, and that's half the fun of mystery films. I also personally found our villain to be... no. Just gonna be honest, I thought he was very strange, and I didn't like his weird little cutesy, but also very hideous design. He was so over the top. Some of it was a little bit meta that worked okay, but it turned into actually way too convoluted of a plot by the end, to the point where you're like, what in the world? Where did we go with this? Why are we here? And then every single side plot outside of our main mystery, plus the two pairs of gnomes learning to appreciate one another, they all failed for me. They all fell flat. I wish we had not gotten any of them. And really, the side characters in general kind of failed for me. And any of the times we went on these little tangents with them, I was far less interested in anything happening in the movie. Plus, the animation is very hit or miss. I actually found it quite strange when they would show them like holding hands. It looked like, human arm. It seemed like there was almost hair on there. And then you see the faces, and the faces look like really good porcelain, gnome, ceramic style animation. So they weren't really consistent in the animation style, even amongst the textures of our main characters. And then we got to a lot of the movements, especially when things were falling. It looked a little bit shaky to me. The mouth syncing was a little shaky, in particular with that frog. So overall, I just couldn't really get into Sherlock Gnomes. I don't understand the draw of garden gnomes, why it's so fun and funny to see Romeo and Juliet, or now Sherlock Holmes, as little garden gnomes. I didn't find the humor all that great, and have fun explaining why Gnomeo doesn't want to be called Little D. But even when it wasn't humor like that, it was still very rudimentary. I think it's entertaining enough for kids. I think it's colorful, and there's usually enough stuff going on. There are some slow parts that start to drag, where I think your kids might get a little bit distracted and a little bit restless. But this would be a fine rental. I don't think you'll hate it for that price. I don't think you'll feel tortured. And at least then, your kids can kind of come and go as they please to watch this, as it definitely stretches out that runtime. So, that is my review of Sherlock Gnomes. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below, and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Sherlock Gnomes? And what did you think of the first Gnomeo and Juliet? Also, have you already seen this one? And if you have, make sure to leave your thoughts down below. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!